Hi everyone, welcome to or back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sammy and I like to yap about books. And today I'm doing my January reading wrap up. Now I had a really good reading month this month. I've read 14 books and I have really enjoyed most of them. So let's get straight into it. So I started my reading year off with a really good physical book and a not so good audiobook. So I'm going to start with the audiobook. And this was Nosferatu by Joe Hill. Now this is a lengthy audiobook. This was 19 hours and 50 minutes long and it just didn't work for me. So this book is about a man who gets put into jail. I think he gets put into a psych ward actually for abducting children, and somehow he manages to escape. And his car, which has the number plate Nosferatu, he uses that to abduct children and take them to somewhere called Christmas Land. And on the way to Christmas Land, he basically drains their energy, life force, whatever you want to call it, and he becomes younger with each child that he abducts. So we follow, I thought we were going to follow his story and how he became like it, why he does it, etc. But we don't. We follow a woman and we start off with her as a child. She has a run-in with this man, but she manages to escape. And later on in life, her son gets abducted by this man and she has to try and save him before he gets to Christmas Land and agrees to give his whole life force over to this man. And there's so much to this book that I just felt wasn't needed. I feel like it could have been like 9 hours and 50 minutes and still it would have been a bit too long, because it just felt like it dragged. I actually nearly DNF'd this, but I kept listening because I did want to know if we were going to ever find out a little bit more about Christmas Land and about this guy and how Nosferatu, the car, works and stuff like that. But there was odd bits of story in this story, like the woman as a child could ride her bike and she could like teleport almost to where this guy was, and it was just so complicated. And I just felt like it would have been so much better if it had focused on the guy and why he was doing what he was doing and why he was doing what he was doing. But yeah, not for me, unfortunately. So the first physical book that I read this year was Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, and oh my goodness, this is a really short book. It's 200 pages, and I actually think this is the perfect horror book to read if you aren't into horror books. Hear me out. This doesn't read like your typical horror book. It's only really at the end, when stuff really starts to go down, that the horror kind of comes into it. This is written to me more like a kind of thriller, because all the way through you get these kind of red flags about a certain character, and there's this underlying tone of something's going to happen, we're building up to something, and then it happens at the end, and that's where the horror comes into it. So in this book we follow Roz, who I think she goes as Rosemary, who meets Ash at a farmer's market. And Ash makes everything on her farm: candles, cakes, honey. I think she makes plant pots for plants. She makes everything. And Rosemary becomes kind of infatuated with Ash, and they soon start a relationship. But Rosemary starts to pick up on little red flags about Ash, and that's all I'm going to say. I loved this book so much. I think it's beautifully written. I think it's really tense, and the end, oh my gosh, I read it and then I reread it because I was just like, I beg your pardon, what just happened? it's genius. I love it. I honestly cannot recommend this book enough, and what a way to start off the reading year. I loved it. I then went on to listen to The Butcher's Daughter by Corinne Lee Clark, and this is basically the story of how Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd came to be her pie making self. Again, I absolutely loved this one. It was so, like, she had such a hard start in life, and the cards that she was given were just awful. And I feel like I did feel really sorry for her, because it felt like she was jumping out of one really bad situation into a situation that she thought was going to be better, and it ended up, you know, just as bad or worse. I just really felt for her. And then once she became Mrs. Lovett, oh, it was just brilliant. And I really loved this book as well, because the narrator did a really good job. I listened to it on audio, and I could see everything like in my head like a film. It's written so well. You can see like the streets and the characters. Oh, it was just gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. I then listened to Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen, and this story was also absolutely amazing. We follow a woman whose sister becomes very ill after she touches a corpse that they find in a bog, and she starts to it starts to emaciate her, and she becomes hungry but not for food, and she gets so, I don't really want to give it away, she gets so crazed by this that everything changes. And I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really awesome and very different and original twist on the classic vampire story. And I really enjoyed like the folklore of it as well. And this is another one where the end was just, whew, it was amazing. And you just think, yes, go girl, just yes. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one as well. My next physical book was Diavola by Jennifer Thorne, and I really enjoyed this one as well. This is about Anna, who goes on holiday to Tuscany with her family, and pretty much as soon as they get there, things start happening in the villa. Things will start moving, food goes off like overnight, they can hear giggling, they can hear footsteps, they see silhouettes through windows or panels of glass, and all of the villagers, whenever they talk to them about the villa, whenever they say, oh yeah, we're staying at the villa, they go quiet. The villagers are like, oh my gosh, what are you doing staying there, kind of thing. And everything just gets ramped up and up and up, and it's brilliant. And this haunting, it doesn't stay in Tuscany. Oh, I just loved this so much. It didn't end the way I thought it was going to, but I still enjoyed it. So again, I would thoroughly recommend this. And this, it is kind of set in summertime. It's very much holiday vibes. So maybe read it in summer. But I mean, I love a ghost story at any time of year, so I absolutely loved it. So the next book that I read was Piggy by Holly Knightley, and this was an ARC book that I got from Book Sirens. This is a really quick read. It's 40 pages. It took me less than an hour to read, and we follow Ali, who finds a banknote in the park with a little piggy drawing on it. And then she finds another one the next day, and she starts to think that something's going on, so she wants to investigate what is happening. And this book is written, I was really enjoying it until the end, and then the end just kind of came out of nowhere and felt very like, where has this come from? I also, after I read it, I started really thinking about it, because it bugged me, the ending bugged me, and I was like, but then this doesn't make sense, and this character doesn't do what I would have expected of her, considering how we're introduced to her. And it all just, I don't know, after I read it, I just felt really like, oh, I'm not sure I enjoyed that at all, to be honest. Which is really disappointing, because I thought, again, the idea was quite good. It was interesting, and that's why it hooked me into Request of the Ark, but unfortunately it just didn't work for me. The Resurrectionist by A. Rae Dunlap was my next audiobook, and again, I absolutely loved this. It is set in Edinburgh at the time where science needed cadavers for their students who were training to be doctors. And in this story we follow James, and he has been forced into the career of the church when we meet him, but he has actually decided he doesn't want to do that anymore, and he wants to be a man of science. So he packs himself off to Edinburgh and he starts training in the medical sciences, but he soon becomes embroiled with the body snatchers, and I absolutely loved this. I also loved the fact that James was so funny as a character. I loved how English he was, and it was just brilliant because the narrator did a really good job of doing the Scottish accent, and then there was James with his really English accent and his very English and proper reactions to things, and him getting into this system of body snatching and grave robbing, and some of it just made me laugh out loud. It was brilliant. Some of it is quite sad as well. There are characters that you don't want to see hurt or affected by what they're doing, but unfortunately they get snatched by it. And yeah, it's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I also absolutely loved James's relationship that unfolds, and I really wanted more at the end. I was like, no, I need to know if they're together and what happened. But 4.5 stars for this one. I absolutely loved it. So I listened to quite a lot of audiobooks this month. I wouldn't have been able to have read half of the amount of books if I hadn't have read them via audio. And one of my favourites was Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This was absolutely amazing. So this is a retelling of the classic story Carmilla. And in this story, we follow Lenore. She has been married to her husband for 10 years, and their marriage isn't in a great position as they have tried and been unsuccessful in having a child. So the husband thinks that they should start over somewhere new and live the life of luxury that they deserve. So he buys an estate, and on the way to the estate they come across a carriage accident, and in the carriage accident is Carmilla. They take her to their new estate, and she is there to recover, and they look after her for a bit. But Carmilla mixes things up a bit and starts to teach Lenore that she can want for things for herself, because Lenore has really cut herself off from her feelings and her wants because she feels so guilty for not giving her husband a child in the 10 years that she has been married to him. And I loved this story. I really liked Lenore, and I absolutely loved it when she actually did click, and it was like, actually Carmilla has telling me the truth. I can want for things, and she really goes for it. And it's one of those female rage books where you're like, yes girl, go for it. It was brilliant. The narrator did such a good job as well. She was amazing. And yeah, I can't recommend this book enough. The writing style is amazing, beautiful. It felt like an older classic gothic book, but also modern at the same time. I don't know how to describe it. Just go and read it, go and listen to it, because I absolutely loved it, and I definitely want a copy for my shelves. The next book I read was The Whistling by Rebecca Netley, and this is another ghosty story set in the Scottish Highlands. So Elspeth goes to a remote Scottish island to become nanny to Mary, who has been mute ever since her brother William passed away. Now, this book was so creepy. There are elements to it as well, not just ghost elements to it. There are elements of like folklore and witchcraft and villager drama, and yeah, I absolutely loved this one. It really did creep me out at times. It kind of just made me like, ugh. And it goes in a direction that I didn't think it would go in as well. I also did not see the culprit of everything. I did not see that coming. That was like a rug being pulled out from under my feet. That was brilliant. And the end, again, was really good. I really enjoyed... I can't give too much away because it will spoil it. But I really enjoyed how the ghosts are... like their mythology around them, and I don't know how to describe it. I just really loved how the ghosts were done in this book. It was very interesting, and it wasn't something that I'd read the kind of idea before, so I really enjoyed this one. So it was really, really good. Now, I then took a bit of a dip in my audiobook reading. I listened to The Intruder by Freida McFadden, and it's not the best. It was okay. It was very different from other Freida McFadden books. So in this book, we follow a woman who is getting her cabin ready for a storm that is coming. And as she's like hunkering down for the night, as the storm is just kind of starting, she notices that a light is on in her like garage shed type thing. And she is adamant that she did not leave this light on. So she goes to check the shed. And sure enough, there is somebody hiding in the shed. And it is a young runaway. And she takes her in for the night because the storm is going to be quite bad. And there's a tree outside the shed that she thinks is going to fall onto the shed. So she takes this girl in, and things start to take a turn. And this didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And I don't know if I enjoyed it. It was okay. And for me, normally Freida McFadden stuff it's like fast paced and quite punchy. And I just thought it was very different from what she normally does. And I don't know if I liked it. All I can say, it was okay. It wasn't my favourite. It was just okay. It was like middle of the road. So I gave that a 2.5 star. Would I listen to it again? No. Would I recommend it? As Freida books go, it wouldn't be one that I'd be like, you have to read this one. It's brilliant. Because for me, it was not Freida as I know and love her, unfortunately. Next, I read Something in the Walls by Daisy Pearce, and I got this sent to me by Orbit Books, and I wasn't expecting it, and I thought it was brilliant. So in this book, we follow Alice, who is a newly trained child psychologist, and she gets asked by Sam, who is a journalist, to go with him to the house of a family who think their daughter is being haunted or possessed by a witch. Now, when they get there, things aren't as they seem. The family say things that make you think this is a setup. It's all just not true. And then Alice, the daughter, starts to say things and you think, oh my gosh, this is creepy. It's definitely, there's something in the walls. there are parts to this that creeped me out completely. The villagers are so freaky, it's unbelievable. And it's very much like a witch hunt. So the villagers basically think that Alice has been chosen by the ghost of this witch, and they think that she can predict things for them and talk to their dead loved ones and give them messages from beyond the grave. They stand outside the house, they write messages on the fences, and then it starts to get darker and things get a bit more twisted. And the end was very... I didn't see it coming, because I think it was about 60% of the way through the book. Another storyline kind of comes into it and takes it away slightly from the witch, I will admit. And there are parts where I thought, oh, but what about the witch in the walls? But overall, I did really enjoy it. The end was so twisted and just... Oh, I love Mina. She just... Oh, it's brilliant. She really goes for it at the end, and I absolutely loved it. It is definitely for fans of Midsummer, I get that. The book also says that it's for fans of The Haunting of Hill House, and I would totally agree with that if you are thinking of the TV programme, because I found the book to be very different and not as good as the TV programme. But it's definitely got those spooky vibes, and it's got that folklore and the witchiness and just creepiness. And I also really liked how it kind of made out the humans are the monsters as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and this comes out on the 10th of February, so you've not got long to wait if you want to get your hands on a copy. I then went on to listen to Human Rites by Juno Dawson, and I was really looking forward to this because I absolutely love Her Majesty's Royal Coven. And I don't know what it is about the third book in a trilogy, because I'm always disappointed. I don't know what it is. The Discovery of Witches, books 1 and 2, brilliant. Books 3, disappointing. And then there was Queen of the Tearling. Books 1 and 2, brilliant. Books 3, absolutely ruined it. And I don't know, it's just the third book. I was expecting something totally different. And we carry on straight off of book 2. And we have a lot of the devil trying to tempt the girls. And there's a lot of that, and I did feel like that dragged quite a bit, because he tries to do it to like every character, and we go through it, and yeah, I don't know, it just didn't do anything for the story, and I felt like we'd already done that in book 2, and we needed to kind of get to the point. There is a part with Neve. Oh, it broke my heart. It really did. I felt for her so much, and I thought that bit was really good. But then there was a time travel element added to the story, and I'm a bit weird about time travel. I don't tend to like it. The only time that I've actually really enjoyed time travel story is the Outlander series. But this was one of those time travel where they couldn't meet themselves in the past because it would change the future, and a bit Back to the Future, and I don't like it. So yeah, plus it confused me a little bit because it happened so quickly, everything. So we had the first part of the book that was quite dragged out for me, and it was the devil trying to tempt the women. Then the second part of the book where they have to time travel to get these things to beat him, but that happened really quickly. And then the third part of the book, which is the fight, and that was over like that. And yeah, I don't know. It just felt really underwhelming, and I really wanted a lot from this one, because like I said, I loved the first two books. I think this would be an absolutely brilliant TV program, because it's so juicy and each character is so different and they've got their own story arcs and they're such strong women. And yeah, I felt like this really didn't do the series justice, and I was disappointed by it, unfortunately. Yeah, there's not much more I can say other than I wanted more from it as the last book. So the last two books I'm going to talk about, I haven't finished as of today, which is Friday the 30th, but I will finish them today, so that's fine. I'm going to include them. And the first one I'm going to talk about is The Last Witch by C.J. Cooke. And I'm listening to this on Audible, and oh my gosh, this book is absolutely heart-wrenching. So this book follows a woman who is accused of witchcraft. She, a bit like Lenore from Hungerstone, has been with her husband for a few years and has not conceived yet. And this does not help her case at all. She gets thrown into a cell after meeting the Hammer of the Witches. And she basically has a go at him for killing her friend and her daughter. Now, that scene, the killing of her friend and daughter, is the first chapter of the book, and it is a gut punch. It's heart-wrenching and shocking. We follow it from the child's perspective, and her mother have been tried for witchcraft and they are being led to the pyre. There is a woman already on the stake and she's burning, and you see it through the eyes of this child whose mother is then thrown on before her. And then yeah, it's a strong start, and it does not let up. So the woman that we follow after that, she finds out that she's pregnant while she's in the just before, she gets thrown into the jail cell with these other women who are accused of witchcraft. The youngest being about 14 years old, and the oldest woman in there is 67. And the treatment of these women is awful. I can't even. It's horrible. And the accusations put against them are ridiculous. And the man who is trying them, the Hammer of the Witches, is disgusting. He's vile, and he quite literally gets off on putting these women through torture, pain. He tries to rape one of them while they're pregnant. It's vile. And yeah, this story is so well written, and it's just heartbreaking. But I really want the main character to find her power. I don't want to say too much more because I've not finished it yet, but I'm hoping I know where this is going, and I really want her to get her revenge. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I really hope it finishes how I want it to finish. So yeah, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a hard hitting book, but it's so well written that I would definitely recommend it still, because you do also have characters. There is a vicar involved in the story who is desperately trying to get these women out of prison, and who is desperately like, this is wrong, what are we doing? Like, this guy needs help because he's a bit like mental. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's amazing, and the narrator for this is brilliant. So yeah, I love it. And the last book that I will finish tonight is called I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy, and this is an ARC book that I'm reading from NetGalley. This is a short story horror anthology. So the first story in the book is a novella, and then we have short stories that follow afterwards, and these are all separate stories, so none of them connect, and I'm really enjoying this. So the novella, in the novella, we follow Abe, who is travelling across the country to get to his grandmother's bedside, as the doctors think she is nearing the end of her life. And as he's travelling across the country, as we all do, he needs gas. He needs to stop for a wee as well. And so he stops at this gas station, and he goes in, and it's completely empty. And he thinks, oh, that's weird, but I'm going to go to the loo and I'll come back out and see what the deal is. So he comes back out the toilet, and it's been redecorated, and I'm not going to say how because that would spoil it. And things just go absolutely nuts from there. He decides to lock himself in the bathroom, and then decides that that wasn't a good idea either. And I won't say why, because the parts that are in the bathroom freaked me out something chronic. So he was in a locked room, and there are two creatures. And I'm not going to tell you what creatures they are because that'll spoil it as well. But, oh, I read it and I was just, my anxiety was, it was, yeah, not good. But the story is really good, and it takes a very religious turn, which I didn't see coming, but I absolutely loved it because the way it is written is so good. Now, I've never read a Nat Cassidy book before, so this has really been a great way for me to get into their writing. And I really liked how, because I've read the novella and then the short stories, which are all different, they're all different, like themed, all the characters are different. And I think there's only been one of the short stories that I wasn't as keen on because it was another time travel story, and I think it was to do with the Beatles, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. But all of the other ones have been brilliant. So if you've never read a Nat Cassidy before, I would thoroughly recommend reading this because it covers so many different aspects of their work. Now, I have heard that these short stories have been published before, but not together in one book. So I'm not quite sure when it comes out either. I think it should be soon, but I would really recommend it because, yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And like I said, there's only been one of the short stories so far that I've not really enjoyed, just because it's not the kind of topic that I enjoy reading. But yeah, I would thoroughly recommend this one as well. So that's it. I read 14 books this month, and like I said, I wouldn't have got through nearly as many books if I hadn't have been listening to audiobooks as well. I've really got into my audiobooks now as well. I really enjoy listening to them as I work. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend it. I'm also thoroughly enjoying BookBeat. Now, I only moved across from Audible, I think it was in December, and I really feel like this platform is working a lot better for me. Like I've said before, there's nothing wrong with Audible, it just wasn't working for me because you have to pay for your subscription, and then if you want extra titles that aren't in the free catalogue, you have to pay for those as well. Whereas with BookBeat, you pay for listening hours, and I think there are 3 tiers of listening hours, and you can listen to pretty much anything in the library that they have. I think there are some that you can't there are some that you either can't listen to and you have to read it, or you can't read it and you have to listen to it, because they do ebooks as well. But yeah, this is working a lot better for me because I can just listen to what I want to listen to without going, I'm going to need to buy another credit, I'm going to need to buy the title, where I'm not sure I'm going to like it, but I'm going to have to purchase it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend BookBeat for any audio listeners out there. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap things up for now there, and I hope you guys have had a good January and have read lots of amazing books. Let me know what your favourite has been in the comments, and give this video a like if you liked it. Also give us a follow if you want to hear me yap more about books. So I will see you next time. Bye.